getting started, you'll need a sewing machine, and we're going to be using a Singer heavy duty. You'll need fabric, and you want to pick out a wool or a polyester wool blend fabric. Then you'll need a wider ribbing, and we just use an old beanie. Or we have a link to buy it by the yard on Amazon. Then you're going to need your pattern, and this pattern is available at properfitclothing.com. The pattern also comes in 3 different sizes, and it's super easy to change. So go ahead and cut it out and tape the roll panel together, and you're ready to start tracing and cutting it out. So go ahead and take those panels, place them on the wool, trace them, cut them out, and you're going to want to end up with 2 front panels, 2 back panels, and 2 side panels. Next, take 1 front panel, 1 side panel, place the right sides together, and sew along that edge. And you're going to want to go for the inside edge. And keep in mind, this pattern calls for a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then go ahead and take your back panel, place it on the side panel on the inside, and do the same thing, 1/4 inch seam. And this is half of the top, so you're going to want to go ahead and do the same thing for the other front, back, and side panel. And now we're going to be showing you how to set up your twin needle, and this is super simple. Just install like a normal needle, set your machine to zigzag with 0 width, and thread 2 spools of thread the same exact way. So we're going to show you 2 different options for adding on your bias tape, and these are just 2 different bias tape folders. The one on the right is just one you can get at any hobby store, and the one on the left is available at capsupplyco.com. We are going to be using the one on the left just because it's a little bit easier for us to use, and we've been using it for a while. But honestly, they both do the same thing, so use whatever you're comfortable with. Whatever one you're using, line it up with your presser foot and then just tape it right on your machine. You definitely are going to want to make sure this is secure so that way nothing's moving around when you're sewing on that bias tape. Now all you have to do is cut your bias tape to the measurement of the folder and you're ready to start sewing. And now that you're all set with your bias tape feeder, or if you choose not to use one, you're going to want to go ahead and top stitch those seams. You can also buy ribbing or tape to sub out for the bias tape. It's totally up to you. This is really just to get a nice top stitch and also cover those seams on the inside. Then go ahead and do the same exact thing for the other half. Now that both halves are complete, you're going to want to go ahead and place right sides together and sew all the way through the middle. And you just want to make sure that all your seams line up dead center. Then the next step is to go ahead and add that bias tape to that center seam. Make sure you cut enough bias tape so that way you get all the way through that whole seam without running out. And next you're going to be cutting out your roll pattern. So go ahead, place it on the fold and cut it out. And if you're using just a regular beanie, you can just go ahead and cut that, and it's probably going to be the same size, so you really don't need to use that pattern. But then once you have it cut, go ahead, place the right sides together and sew that smaller edge. And then what you're going to be doing is rolling this over in half. So if you want to adjust it to make it taller, you can. We have it the pretty much standard size, and it gives you enough seam allowance at the bottom so it's not super small. Now we're going to be attaching that to the crown of the cap, so you're going to want to take the wrong side and place it on the right side of the crown. And it's going to look a little bit weird, but this is because you're going to be rolling it back up, and then you're going to be covering that bottom edge with a sweatband. So what you're going to want to do is place it just on that edge with about a 1/4 inch seam allowance and sew all the way around the outside. This part can be a little tricky as you're sewing because you can't see the underneath. You can flip it around and do it the other way, but I found this way works the best. So just kind of feel it out as you go and just keep it consistent all the way around. This will help it from looking kind of lopsided when you get done sewing. And the ribbing is always going to be shorter than the actual circumference of the top, so you're going to want to keep stretching it as you go. And as you can see, when you roll it up, a little bit of that bottom sticks out, but that's perfect because that's going to help you attach that sweatband. And we are using professional sweatbands, and these are available at capsupplyco.com if you want to grab them. If you don't, you can just take a piece of fabric and fold it over and make sure it's about 1.5 inches in width. I would recommend using like a twill or a canvas for this. So what you're going to do is start at the back, and this is on the inside of the cap, and place it right close, butted up to that ribbing, and then just sew all the way around. And then as you get close to the end, give yourself enough room so you can fold it over and stitch through, leaving a nice clean edge at the back. Then take it off, and at that fold, you're going to want to go ahead and sew those two parts of the sweatband together. Then the next part is to sew that sweatband to the inside of the top. And you want to go low enough so that way it doesn't pop out over that ribbing once it's folded up. And I highly recommend using the same color thread as your top because it's just going to help hide that seam in the long run. So go ahead, flip it right side out, and then roll that ribbing up towards the top of the cap. And there you have it, your Watchman cap is done. If you need any of the tools or supplies or fabric or anything, we put links in the description, so go ahead and check that out. And thanks for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment. Let us know what you think. If you have any ideas for videos, definitely send them our way. We'll try to make it happen for you. But until then, we're going to keep the videos coming at you, so we'll see you next time.